Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my shop for once, and welcome to something that's not the BMW. Sorry if the channel's been a little bit one note lately, but my life's been pretty one note. In the key of F, that key is fu. Today we're getting around to something I've been procrastinating on for about 6 months. I've had this 2003 PT Cruiser GT manual. I've owned it for about 6 months, driven it about 20 miles in that time. Got this thing for $1,200 with a ton of issues. And the one that we're fixing now, as well as doing some preventative maintenance, is the dreaded PT Cruiser mid-mount. I'm not looking forward to this, mostly because it's a Daimler Chrysler product from the early 2000s. We're also doing a full timing set and water pump while we're in here. So far, I haven't done anything you haven't seen. We took the dog bones off, upper and lower, got a shield out of the way, and we have the trans jack holding up the engine. But let me show you what exactly it is we're dealing with. Here in the wheel well, you can see maybe this right here is the mid-mount bolt. And that is supposed to be kind of in the middle of the circle, and it's not. Actually, this is with the engine jacked up. It sits about a centimeter lower without the engine being jacked up, which means that thing is hosed. So for those not familiar, the way that the motor mounts work on this is you've got the mid mount on this side holding the engine, and the trans mount on this side holding the engine, and then it just kind of swings between them, and then the two dog bones here on the passenger side control the fore and aft movement. Problem is, the mid-mount is right there. You definitely can't see that. And it looks like this. That, oh, sorry, I've got it backwards. This sits like that down in there. So it has to come all the way this way to come up. In the Chrysler Factory Service Manual, if you look up how to remove this mount, it is 2 paragraphs. Paragraph 1, Step 1, remove engine assembly. Step 2, remove these bolts, you idiot, and pull it out. Very helpful, Chrysler. Fortunately, people who aren't Chrysler engineers have figured out there's a better way of doing it. Not necessarily better, but a little bit less effort, though Tyler disagrees with me. He thinks that pulling the engine is the best way. We'll see. If you do a timing belt job, you get enough stuff out of the way that you can actually wiggle that mount out of there. So that's what we're going to try and do today, and have a healthy mount. This is what you see through that hole there, is this portion here, and it's just sitting way too low, so yay. Something that we did already do was pop the grill out and then take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts and dangle the core support off the front here so that we can move the radiator around, get a little bit of access, because we're going to need to get to the back of the power steering pump in order to get a couple of bolts out of the timing cover. Right now we're just dealing with the accessory drive because we're going to have to remove the main crank pulley, and looks like there's a stretch belt for the alternator, which sucks, and the world's most garbage tensioner for the main belt, so it's all pretty horrible. Tyler, you actually work on Daimler era Mercedes stuff. Do you think this is worse than the SLK 230 piles of trash you work on usually?
Mechanically?
Yeah, sure.
No. To work on? Yes.
More reliable.
Significantly worse.
But worse when it breaks. Yeah, this thing is the most bafflingly packaged vehicle I've ever seen in my life.
It's a front-wheel drive Chrysler product.
Yeah, it's not a good start.
You don't get much worse.
But at least if you buy like a Dodge Journey, you can basically stand in the engine bay next to the engine. Am I even on the camera? My grandma recently bought a Dodge Journey. I had nothing to do with that decision. But you pop the hood on that and you're like, there's 4 feet between the back of the head and the firewall. It's like if the heater core hoses go, at least that's easy as hell.
If you buy a Dodge Journey, the transmission will fail before you have to do any major maintenance.
Yeah, but if the transmission does fail, you just go to the junkyard and grab one out of like an 87 Chrysler K car. When the transmission do an oopsie, you can just get one out of a K car. It's the same 4-speed auto they've been using since the 80s. It's hilarious. I think model year 2022, they did finally put a 6-speed in it, so good on you, Chrysler, for the bare minimum. I forgot to mention, while all this is going on, over here there's even more fun happening. This is the battery pack out of my buddy Jay's. Actually, this is my old battery pack that I gave my buddy Jay for his Honda Insight. He's got the perfect 2-car garage. He's got a Honda Insight, and then he has a Ferrari 360 that he manual swapped himself. So, you know, that covers all your bases. But I just put some new cells in this. I did some cell level refurbishment using this Competition IntelliPeak Ice Duratrax. I don't know which one of these is the brand name and which one of these is the model name, but this thing is for cycling RC car batteries effectively, but it does have parameters for these 7.2 volt nickel metal hydrate sticks. So I used that to rejuvenate some sticks we got off eBay to replace some sticks that were bad, and now we're just doing a grid charge. And of course this is the configuration where if you touch that part, you die, because that is 170 something volts at a pretty much infinite discharge capacity. That will hurt very briefly, and then it won't hurt anymore.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyway, we also have this wonderful Pontiac Aztec cooler full of things that I can't talk about or I'll get demonetized, but this is what's going to keep us sane. 1100 milliamp hours of capacity, 164 volts. So that's got a ways to go. I think this will take about 12 hours to charge. And then we discharge it and charge it again. Mid-mount bolt, yeet! It's in there.
There goes the engine.
Indeed.
Thunk. If all else fails, brute force prevails.
Going up.
Hey. Oh, that'll be it.
It's lifting the car now.
Yeah.
That still is not sitting where it should.
Let's get that mid-mount.
Well, no, we gotta get this mid-timing cover thing out. Which, okay, so I see the 2 bolts over there that go through the power steering. And it looks like there's a bolt there. It looks like there's a bolt there. And all of these look absolutely awful to get to.
Correct.
Can't wait. I think I need Google at this point. This is getting less and less obvious as we go. It's like, yeah, take off the crank pulley, yeah. Okay, take off the motor mounts, that makes sense. Take out the mid-mount bolt, take off the lower timing cover. Logical. Now, I mean, what do we have here? Yeah, that's a bolt. Yeah, that's also a bolt. Oh god, that's huge.
Phrasing.
That's what she said. Legitimately not sure how the hell to get a tool in there, though.
Also what she said.
The engine does. The engine bottomed out on something. It doesn't come up anymore.
Unknown.
Say 14.
Of course it is.
Hey, stubby boy. Hey, guess what? It was a 15. See, this is the problem with cheap sockets. You can't tell if like it's the next size down or if your socket is just real garbage. The thing about tools is that like a Harbor Freight wrench and a Snap-on wrench make the same sound when you throw them.
How's that working for you?
I'm thinking that this might be an excuse to go to Harbor Freight and get like one of their ratcheting breaker bars. Because I really want one. And this is an excuse to spend money, which sounds a lot more fun than sitting here and swearing. Shit. Every single time I get in this stupid car, I grab the stupid door handle and I get E90 goo all over my hands. I'm an absolute clapper. Hey, at least it doesn't have a bunch of lights on the dashboard. Yeah. That'd be a real tragedy. We're back with new tools. Success. Spending $20 on this one tool has helped me get to that one bolt. Now to get to the other one, we will probably need more tools. I think I already own the thing. See, when you do the whole like running to Harbor Freight and every time you need a tool thing, eventually you just have all the tools. Balls. Well, that's the dilemma right there. Well, let's get this other bolt out and just see with this problem for future, Jake. This is nice, though. I really like this ratchet. It's got the stendo.
How long is this bolt?
Yo, I don't think that's gonna fit.
Why is it you don't have a girlfriend?
Okay, no, but look how long that bolt is. You can't get it out.
Oh, that's obnoxious.
It's still going. My brother in Christ, it is a foot long. This is simply horrid. There's a bolt. It is way down in there. You can't see it, but we're using a go-through socket and a wrench because that's literally all we can get on it. It's one of the 4 bolts holding on this big old brackety boy. Whoever packaged this car needs an award. And the award is like...
An ass whooping.
Yeah. Please stop.
It's probably the same guy that put the TPMS fuse under the seat of the GLK.
This is where removing the core support comes in handy. The bolts on the back of the power steering need to come out, and there's everything in the universe is in the way because the AC compressor is right below that. So you got all these AC hard lines you got to snake through. So I've got a 13 on a swivel and an extension and a swivel head ratchet and a missing core support just to get these 2 bolts out because Chrysler products are great. We should get Potter in here. Oh, why am I doing this manually? Where's my Milwaukee?
Your milk cocky.
Listen, I use this more than yeah.
Hola! We dropped the engine back down. So we got the bolts off the power steering. And I've got 1 bolt left here at the bottom of that big chunk of metal. Yeah, this is the last one. So let me sing you the song of my people.
Are you having a seizure?
Maybe. But I got the bolt free, so. Is there enough room for me to actually get this bolt out? Sure ain't!
Hey! See, you want to pry on the plastic. That's generally advisable. Okay, so that's loose. Genuinely baffled right now. Where do my tools keep disappearing to? I had an extension with a swivel and some other nonsense on it.
Oh, you mean the one that's on your Milwaukee that's laying right?
Oh yeah,
right down there.
Yes.
I had this. Oh,
We're both ADHD, but my object permanence game is stronger.
yeah, but where's the socket?
If any of y'all want to send this guy a tool organizer, like a fender apron one, magnetic.
I keep making the problem worse somehow. Autobiography would just be full of the phrase, and then he made it worse. Why? Hey, guess what? It's still jammed. Everything just hits everything in this car, so we're taking the vacuum manifold and AC or cruise control bracket out of the way, using yet more extensions and absolute nonsense to get to it.
And then fiasco with the
And then hoping
3/8 self-tappers.
Yeah, so these were holding the AC on. I crave death. So where we're at is I've watched probably a dozen YouTube videos about how to do this and how to get that piece out specifically, because you have to take that out to do a timing belt job. And in every single video, they either just magically have more room than we do, or they completely skip actually wriggling it out of there. What I did was I pulled the 2 bolts out of the top of the motor mount over there, took the intake out, of course, took about 30 seconds, and then now the engine is able to come up way further, and I got a pry bar and shoved the whole thing towards the passenger side a little bit. And eventually we got just enough clearance to get that big cast iron pile of misery out, but it was not pleasant. But look at all this room we have now. I'm just taking out the screws for the motor mount, and then we'll drain coolant, and it'll be timing belt time. So now that we know the order and how things work, this might be a little easier. I need to figure out what's going on with the with this bracket as it pertains to the
Cruise
control, because, like, why are there other holes? What happened to...
Oh, that's why it's misadjusted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's supposed to be a nut plate on the bottom. They lost the nut... This car's been ruined by mechanics. This is why you don't use a hack fucking mechanic. They lose a nut plate, what do? They grab the wrong goddamn hardware, and they just yeet that shit in there with the force of 1,000 suns, and I bet that's why the cruise control doesn't work on this. It'll engage, and then disengage a while later. I'm guessing that's because it's pulling on the throttle plate more than it thinks it is, and that throws its calibrations out, so it just ditches itself as a safety. So, I need to source that nut plate.
Just tack some nuts on the backside.
I could weld some. I do have a welder. And honestly, I wonder why in the hell Chrysler didn't just do that for the factory. Also, you can see, so this is the piece that holds the upper dog bone, and you can see how they did the adjustable part. It's just a captive nut under a plate that can slide back and forth, and that's how you set your calibrated distance for the upper dog bone for some reason. This is not worth it.
Oh.
Da 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 da.
How do you feel about that?
Doesn't look near as bad as I thought it was. Oh yeah, you can see how smushed down it is.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that, it's like half an inch lower. Impressive.
You did say it could be done in the vehicle.
Hey, we proved Chrysler wrong, those bastards. They did everything they could to make it hard, and it was. Mission successful. Chrysler, thank you very much. But now, the new shiny, the beautiful, the hopefully more durable aftermarket part goes in. These rarely need replaced. These only really need replaced when the other mounts have been bad for a very long time. I mean, that's a lot of rubber in there. It's not something that's going to just die the next day. So let's see here.
Watch that one just drop right in.
Yeah, literally.
Is that one deeper?
With no effort. Also, you'd have to unhook the AC to do that, because there's no way you're dropping that engine out with the AC compressor in place, and we would need a lift to do it that way. So, this is how it's done. This is how Jake does it. Your mileage may vary, but it is probably better than... I don't know where I was going with that sentence, honestly. We're on the exhaust stroke. We're going to put this on the intake stroke where it is supposed to be at top dead center, and pop this belt off. Honestly, this belt looks brand new. Shit's been done. Doesn't matter. We're doing it anyway, because we got Gates parts here, and we're going to use them, because they're way out past their return period. I've had these parts sitting here for 4 months? I think 4 months. I'm at a point where I need more running vehicles around, because basically my philosophy regarding vehicles has been quantity over quality, because if you have 8 shit boxes, chances are at least one of them will be running. Problem is, I'm down to only one of them running, and I need at least 2. Like, I have no parity disc here. My rate array is completely hosed. I'm taking off the rear timing cover thing. That's the technical term, except that this won't fit. So that we can get to the water pump, because of course it's buried under yet more garbage. My sanity level matches my hair right now. The Aztec's cooler is rapidly emptying. And yeah. Oh, there it is. Looking for the ratchet handle. I really want to know who worked on this before so I can publicly shame them. This is why when people ask me where they should take their car, I don't have an answer for them. Because I genuinely don't know. Oh my gosh, it goes all the way down, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got 2 down there.
Hey, guess what? They're a different size! Progress has progressed. Got the water pump out, and really I only spilled a whole bunch of coolant. Ow! I forgot I was gonna get shop towels. Oh well. Here's the old water pump. Looks pretty gross. Before I put the new one on, that mounting surface is disgusting, so we're gonna hit it with the old Scotch-Brite. What we're also going to do is little bit of preventative maintenance. These things are in excellent shape, but I'm going to replace these cam seals while I'm in here because it took a lot of work to get to this point. Certainly don't want to do all that work again anytime soon. Cam gears are on, tensioner is on, idler is on. Well, cam gears are on but not tightened down because he is getting the bolts locked it. Everything about this car is a mess. Also, we fixed the cruise control bracket with some riv nuts. So now we can actually bolt the cruise control back into its proper home, and maybe that will just fix the issue that I was having with that, which would be wonderful because cruise control is like...
It's caps lock for cool.
The most necessary. That's 3.5 hours later. It's 10 p.m. and we finally got the cam timing correct. And by we, I mean Tyler did while I watched YouTube videos. It's not really a multi-person job, and I don't know what I'm doing. But I do understand that it was an absolute nightmare of taking it apart and putting it back together again in order to get these timing marks to line up. Because there's no timing marks on the cover, and there's the added annoyance. There's actually an all-data technical service bulletin about this. The timing marks will be off until you tension it. So you have to time it wrong, and then it will be right, hopefully, unless you did it backwards. This car finds infinite ways to be annoying. And now it's gonna get even worse, because now we have to put it back together. We gotta figure out how to get this stupid bracket back in, and bolt the power steering back up to it, and we have to figure out how to tension the alternator belt, and we have to get the lower timing cover on and the upper timing cover on, and then we have to line up all the motor mounts again with an engine that is literally just hovering in the engine bay on 2 jacks. Oh yeah! And then we get to fill it with coolant and hope that the petcock stopped leaking. Because I used the petcock to drain the coolant like you're supposed to, and I was rewarded with it started leaking. This next part is just not gonna have audio because I legitimately don't have enough hours in the day to censor that many swear words. We're gonna put this in. Well, first you want to grab your AirPods and you want to insert those into the cam gear. And then you want to find your 15 somewhere amongst your 80 million sockets you had to get out for this stupid car. There it is. This is maintenance. This isn't like anything unusual. This is something that is supposed to be done to the vehicle on a regular basis. And it requires half a toolbox, 2 days, and 10 years off your lifespan. So what have we learned?
The bottom bolt goes in first.
Yeah, so it turns out we got to do all that again. It took another hour because you got to put all the bolts in the bracket and then wiggle it past all the belts. And the engine just keeps coming up and down and in and out. Those inches. So the bracket's in. Bolted to the car. The engine is now swinging on its own motor mounts. And I'm now realizing that power steering can't go in. Because it has a bracket on this side that does not come off. Goes through that bracket, through the power steering, into that big old cast aluminum mount.
Aluminum?
Yeah, apparently it's cast aluminum. Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious when you look at the threads, but yeah, it's cast aluminum. So, in order to put this back together, you basically have to be bolting 5 things together simultaneously. I don't know. You can see there's this bracket, and then that's the bracket that we already put in right there. And that's the other bracket, and there's the power steering, and it has to fit in between those. It does not fit in between those because we've already bolted everything together. I'm just gonna see if I can loosen some of these bolts and get enough wiggle room to cram that bastard in here. Also, thank you to the Harbor Freight go-through socket set for continuing to be one of the best, most versatile tools I own. I don't even think they sell this anymore. They have given up on it in lieu of worse, more expensive lines of tools, but I still love it. Well, it's a third day of working on this thing, and the end is in sight. I just got a new little drain plug thing. This is the old one. It's missing the O-ring, was all trash, so got a new one of those, put it in, got the core support on, got the alternator tightened. Oop, I almost tripped over stuff. Got the alternator tightened, got the main belt on. Yet again, there's like no clearances for anything. I had to go buy, let's see, the tool that my mechanic friends had done this before, there it is, said to use was a flex head ratcheting wrench, which is true. This does work great. But the dog bones have to be unbolted and the engine has to be tilted forward, otherwise the adjuster nut was just butting right up against the bottom of the AC, I think that's the dryer. There's just a bracket there that just, this would not fit between. Maybe a more expensive tool with a thinner head would fit, but this Harbor Freight Pittsburgh ratcheting wrench, which feels really nice. It's a nice click. Simply would not fit. So that's done. Cruise control's in here on its bracket, which is into the nut certs and all exactly how it's supposed to be. So now I've actually got the room that I'm supposed to have between the engine and the bracket. So that's all bolted down. Got the upper dog bone in here and adjusted correctly. The spec is I think 120 millimeters from this hole, from the middle of this hole here to the middle of this bolt. And so that's exactly where it's sitting. You'll have to rock the engine back and forth and then run that bolt down to get that set. And then I torqued down the lower dog bone here. I still have the pencil strut to put in, which goes from here to here. And then the splash shield. Let's see, splash shield. What else? I think that's, we're getting close. And then fill it with some coolant. And I don't see any other parts sitting around. So I think at that point, we'll be good to go. So pencil strut. No other parts sitting up here? Nope. Cool. Oh, to time it, something we did. We got this guy. This is a 3-jaw expanding oil wrench. And this did a great job of letting us grab the timing gears so that we could manipulate them, and just a neat tool in general. Kind of neat how it works, fits any oil filter, so keep that around. That's pretty nifty. One thing I am going to do, now that the engine is sitting correctly, I'm going to loosen the mid-mount, which would be this. I'm going to loosen it and then tighten it back up again, just to make sure that it's not being torqued in any one direction, because, you know, if I tightened it down and then I moved the engine a little bit, it's going to be under a constant torque with the engine at rest, and I don't want that. So I'm going to loosen it up with the M18 Milwaukee, just to make, you know, because hammering on it will make sure that it slips into whatever, however it wants to sit. So I'm going to get those last few things done, and hopefully we'll be ready to start. Okay, well, it is done. It is full of coolant. I think that's everything wrapped up. So now it is time to do the thing. Let's hear this bad boy run. And by bad, I actually mean bad. It just kind of sucks. Boy, I really hope we got that cam timing right. I'd say we did. That is still quite a bit of vibration, though. I think the polyurethane dog bones are just not the way to go. I might buy some factory ones, but those are really easy to replace. It makes the pop-pops. I love it. Let's get the tires on. I guess I'll probably let this get up to temperature a little bit. Let's see if we got any leaks. Doesn't look like there's anything new on the ground. I spilled a bunch of coolant when I was putting this on, but that all looks pretty good. Let's get some wheels on and take it for a spin. Functions at least. We didn't break anything. I don't think it's perfect. It's pretty far from perfect, actually. These poly motor mounts aren't doing it for me, the dog bones, so those will get replaced with OEM. And I'm pretty sure I have a boost leak, and I think my front left tire has a hole in it. It was at like 15 pounds when I pulled it out of the shop, and I aired it back up to 20, and now it's pulling to the left a little. Oh, those are some great noises though. Oh my goodness. Thanks for watching.